Crazy exes your friends would never approve of, and they shouldn't approve of. Excuse me. Sorry, just think about my ex, I might throw up. I dated this guy for almost 3 years. One day I found a second cell phone in his room with only one phone number, incoming and outgoing calls, but a different area code. So I called the number. I explain who I am and tell her I am not the enemy and I just needed some answers. She confesses to me that she has in fact been dating my boyfriend for 5 years, although she has never met him. Okay. She met him in a cyber sex chat room. Remember that being a thing? While she was investigating him. Wait, whoa. While she was investigating him for predator behavior, but turned out he was not a predator, but just a pervert who liked cyber sex. They began a relationship 5 years ago. That means I was the other woman. Technically you were, but you didn't know. Anyway, she tells me that she knows about me, but she's going to finally meet him and move in together. They spent Valentine's Day together on the phone, both ordering takeout meals and pressing play on the same DVD while on the phone together. I noped out of there as quickly as I could. I told her that she would not have to worry about me being the other woman any longer, and I would gladly bow out of the crazy town, and I hope they were happy together. 3 years. You dated someone for 3 years and had no idea this was going on. That's insane. This needs to be on a TV series. I need this in an episode, please. I need to see this play out with some visuals. My friend stormed out of the car after being dumped. Pretty standard stuff, but he actually walked right into the middle of one of the worst storms of the last decade in Illinois. He walked 2 entire miles through 80+ miles per hour winds and arrived home with a black eye and a bloody nose from being hit with branches. Oh. I'm trying to be like, well, I would never do that, but when you get dumped, emotions are high and you storm out of there and then you're like, fine, I'm just gonna walk home. And then you start walking home and the reality of the situation sits in, you know, and you're like, I probably should have just stayed in the car and maybe got a ride home and just bowed out gracefully. Like, we could storm off in our driveway, you know, not the same effect you might have been going for, but better than that, because now not only is your heart bruised and broken, but so is your eye and your nose. My ex, I'm not gonna like this one bit. My ex euthanized our dog, then lied that he died of natural causes. If this story doesn't end that your ex is in jail, I probably won't sleep tonight. The dog was old. Oh, this is so sad. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable. The dog was old and blind, and she had pleaded that she wanted a weekend with him. Then the next night, she sent me a fake text saying he had passed during the night because he coughed and then just stopped breathing. That stuff wasn't true at all. I found out later after finding and calling the vet she brought him to that she had bad-mouthed me and said that the dog was suffering and needed to be put to sleep because he was in agony and I was supposedly letting him suffer. She had put him to sleep like the day she took him home, never got to say goodbye due to that witch. Oh, I don't know how I would handle something like that. I would genuinely, I'm not even making a joke, I would need therapy because I would have so much rage in my body and in my soul that would just never go away for that person. And then you're mourning the loss of your beautiful baby. Oh no. Oh my God, I feel like I need therapy just from reading this story. On a more positive note, let's hop on hydration station. Drink your water. It's good for you and I care. Cheers. When my fiance's ex, who he has a kid with, found out I was pregnant, she texted him that he should convince me to give it up for adoption because it probably wasn't even his. Then when that failed to get a reaction, she took a screenshot of the sonogram I posted on my Facebook and sent it to him next to a shot of their daughter's sonogram to show how different they, oh my God, to show how different they looked as proof he wasn't the father of mine. She's trying to like pull a Maury show right now. You are not the father. What is it to you? We are not together anymore. What are you talking about? I'm engaged. None of your business. Ugh, and you know, at first I was like, why is he even talking to his ex? Because they have a kid. Co-parenting, yeah. So there's no way around that one, unfortunately. My first ex kept manipulating me into sleeping with him far more often than I wanted to. Oh my God. By saying things like, I can't control myself, so if you don't do it with me whenever I want, eventually I'm gonna end up cheating on you. After breaking up, he kept crawling back, but by that time, I wasn't taking any more of his mistreatment. Well, I am just glad that you got out of there, number one, because that's some crazy toxic right there. Kind of scary also, slightly illegal, but we're not gonna get into that. It sounds like you were giving consent, I am hoping and assuming, but I have my concerns. Let's just say I have my concerns and I would have said, okay, goodbye. How about this? You don't even have to cheat on me. Let me make this easy for you. I will leave and you can go and do that with whoever you want. How about that? When I was 16, I dated this guy who always seemed nice. Well, that's how it all starts, you know? We broke it off after 2 months and the ex snapped. They do that. He called me a cheater. No cheating ever happened. And over the next 2 weeks, contacted all my friends and tried to convince them that I was horrible and tried to get them to help with a revenge plot that he'd come up with. This includes friends he never met who lived in other states. He wanted to have all the people he'd recruited to surround me in the hallway and confront me. They would block me from leaving, yell insults, and tried to hurt me. What? Wait, so they did it? Or no, this is what, like, he wanted to happen? Ain't no way your friends did that. He even called my mother and told her I had committed infidelity and that we were no longer together. He then asked if he could come to my house and have a little talk with me and asked my mom not to warn me ahead of time. She told him I was out of town and blocked his number. We ended up having to get school administration involved. Oh my gosh. After they told him if he tried anything else, they would contact the authorities, he backed off. I'm really confused about that. He wanted to have all the people do this. They would block me from leaving, yell insults, and tried to hurt me. That's what makes it seem like that actually happened, which is crazy if that is all your friends doing that. Who did he recruit? Ooh, I just hate so much of this, in all honesty, but I'm really stuck on that one part. I need some clarity. My ex would stalk my Reddit account and angrily text me if she didn't like my post talking about how she'd brutally cheated on me, which she was totally guilty of. I remember finding out in the worst way possible. I'd just come home from seeing my grandmother, on her deathbed when I caught wind of my girlfriend's infidelity. Worst day ever. Absolutely. That's so sad. But it didn't end there. Oh boy. Since then, she keeps texting me accusatory messages about my sabotaging her attempts to get a job that requires a security clearance. Apparently, it was my fault and not the fact that she had already been denied a security clearance for mental instability. Okay, so more than one concern here. Yep. It's funny that cheaters don't like when you talk about them being a cheater. Like when you're in that, you can get some really arrogant cheaters who they have no problem. They have no remorse for it. That's their attitude. They don't care. They cheat, whatever, no remorse. But then when you tell other people about it, that's when they have a problem with it. Because they don't want other people to know that they're a piece of shit. A day or two in, he started talking about how I was going to marry him, be a stay-at-home mom, have as many kids as I could, physically produce, and talked about how isolated I would be.
Whoa, red flag.
He never asked my opinion, but that was directly against my life plan and always has been. Still, he was determined to go through with it and would only let minor details be my choice. Thankfully, got out unscathed. Thank God. I'm so happy I got an update because I would have been left worried about you. What's really sad though is that some people some people stay in situations like that. We've all been there though, right? We've all stayed in a relationship longer than we should have. And other people warned us and told us, and it was like, we stayed, and then, you know, we had to just learn that lesson on our own. Life is fun, isn't it? I went to one of the Star Wars prequel premieres with my new boyfriend. I lived in a small town, so everybody I knew was at the premiere, including my then ex. The next morning, while walking down my driveway, I found a box with every note and picture I had ever given to the ex, burned with an with an illegible note, and my sweatshirt, which was peed on. Ew! Oh, you know, a box full of burned pictures, that's one thing. We've seen that since elementary school, but to pee on my sweater? Why, because I got a new boyfriend? Okay. I had fallen asleep at my ex's apartment on his pull-out couch while he went out with friends. I woke up at 1 a.m. and started to pack up my stuff to go home because I had to work in the morning. Just as I was leaving, he came in and said, "Baby, you're still here?" In a nice sweet tone, I asked, "Where were you?" He then started yelling and calling me every name in the book. I started crying and he told me to shut up, but I couldn't. I just kept crying. So he pushed me onto the pullout. Put one hand around my neck and put a pillow on my face. I'm sorry, are we witnessing the tale of a murder? I couldn't breathe. A voice in my head told me to stay calm, so instead of struggling, I just lay there calmly. After about 30 seconds, he picked up the pillow and I got out of there. And I hope you went right to the police station and filed a report for attempted murder. That's not even funny at all. Restraining order. Not that they even do anything. Yeah, I think we need to talk and go on a rant about restraining orders and how insane those actually are and how little they actually do. I was talking about that with a friend the other day. Anyways, this is actually very concerning. And if you ever find yourself in a situation, that needs to be reported. It wasn't, he was drunk and it was just this one time. No. We don't take situations like this lightly, okay? She dumped me at my own house on my birthday. Oh, cruel. When I started crying, her reaction was terrifying. She grabbed the closest object and threw it on the ground in pure anger. What? It shattered and some of the glass pieces hit my foot, which was cut and bleeding badly. I later found out she had thrown a blown glass model of my first dog, which I cherished deeply. Then she told all my friends that I cheated on her and posted about it nonstop online. Why was she so angry? I don't get it. She dumped you and because you started crying, she got angry? That doesn't even make any sense. And what did the glass model of my dog do to deserve that? Didn't realize how serious it was until I looked back on it. We were in high school. He came over and we were arguing outside my house and he wanted me to get in his car and ride around and talk instead of arguing in front of my parents' house, where it's safe. I refused and he tried to push me several times. After a couple tries, he picked me up and threw me in the car. I ran out and back into my house and called the police. Same guy called me several dozen times in the middle of the night when my phone was on silent. I didn't answer because I was asleep for no other reason. So he walked in the middle of the night from his house on the other side of town to mine, threw rocks at my window to wake me up, which I didn't. Then someone heard him and called the cops on him. He ran from the cops. Then left voicemails calling me all sorts of stuff. We only dated for for a summer. As in 2-3 months max? Ooh. Yeah, I guess in high school, you're like, oh, we're young. Emotions are high. You haven't really figured heartbreak out yet. But looking back, oh my God, yeah. Red flags all over. Although, I would hope that we would know that this was wrong behavior, even in high school. I had a boyfriend I dated for 3 years during high school. Man, a lot of stuff goes on in high school. When I was in my mid-20s, I'd moved out of state and he called my mom to try and get in touch with me again. I found it really sweet the first week and liked catching up with him over the phone. However, a few red flags started to appear. Some of the things he was telling me about his job and personal life weren't adding up. For example, he said he did X work, but wasn't actually certified/schooled to be in that line of work. He was living with his dad, which I assumed was because his mom had recently passed and because he traveled as part of his job, and he would call me from the home's landline. One day he calls me and tells me, quote, I was in my city, 12 hours away where he lived, last night and was shot at by mafia gang members. I did not see that going here. I laughed nervously. We spoke last night and you called me from your dad's landline. He laughed and changed the subject. Okay. Block that number. In the following days, he made more and more outrageous claims and I started declining his calls. He finally emailed me, asking why I wasn't talking to him. I admitted I was concerned by his outrageous claims and asked if he was suffering from a schizoaffective disorder. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have asked this question. That's what I was thinking. He completely blew up and wrote back a slur of insults, calling me a liar, a whore, a slut, etc. And that was the last I've heard from him. A year later, I ran into an old teacher who knew his family and I mentioned the odd encounter. She replied, yeah, he had some problems after his mother died. Yeah, like I think we all knew that this had to do with mental illness. And I feel for him because losing a mother is not easy, as we know. And he's probably going through some serious things, and to ask someone if they just like have schizophrenia, that's not, that's not going to land well on someone who is struggling mentally. So not a good idea. Maybe we don't answer, we don't respond to the emails and whatnot, and we just wish him well, or we just say it's not working out, but I wish you the best. I was accused that instead of visiting my grandparents for Christmas like I actually was, I was in Texas cheating on her with a friend of mine who lived there. After I returned from my grandparents and broke up with her, she threw a picture frame at me while screaming bloody murder. I went to my car after dodging the picture frame and she followed me out to get inside the car as well. Tried to break the window, oh my god, but I just drove off. She was a hot Russian, but man, was she crazy. I just love that you added that in there. Like, you know what? She was a hot Russian, but a little too crazy for me. Might have stuck around because she was hot and Russian, but just a little too crazy for me. The crazy ones can be hot, you know? I don't know what that statement was supposed to mean. Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and stay safe with these crazy exes or current. Be aware of the signs.